Scientists are not sure what dark matter is. What is dark matter? I am also a scientist. I don't know. It is merely that when we study energy, I'm going to tell you something interesting. Just the question has brought up that interesting point. I don't know how many of you heard of quantum physics. If you have heard of quantum physics, this was a discovery made long ago by a scientist who was trying to see, is light energy or matter? Is it a wave or is it a particle? When the light was put through two holes, it went through both holes and became a wave on the screen ahead. When he observed it, it became a particle, became a dot on the other side. He did not know whether to call it wave or to call it matter or call it an atom. It was a photon. He didn't know if photon is a wave or a particle. He said it can be both, and he called it quanta. And that's the birth of the quantum physics. It was a very remarkable thing which wasn't properly noticed, that the human observation has changed a wave into a particle, has changed energy into matter. It is very difficult to do, but an observation has done it. So, quantum physics became a special study where we are not sure where matter is, where wave is, which can become by observation. When I used to go to my physics classes in college, they used to draw the map of a hydrogen atom with a big circle because it has got an orbit. And one electron, they put a dot of an electron and go and make a circle on a page. Problem came, how do you know it's this orbit and not this orbit or this orbit? At that distance from the nucleus, there can be a million orbits just by shifting the orbit. How do you know where it is? Very recent studies where we can go with a laser beam even to the level of an electron. Experiments have shown that if you put your laser anywhere at the distance from the nucleus, the point is there, electron is there, no matter where. Up, high, low, any side. Distance should be correct, particle is there. Therefore, they had to revise the map of the electron. They had to now put like a wave around the nucleus, hydrogen atom, and the wave is the electron. It can become a particle if you observe it. If you observe it and it becomes, I hope many of you might be student of physics, if you observe it, it becomes a particle only at that place, nowhere else. Supposing you put two laser beams or more at the same distance, there will be two electrons. When you withdraw, only one is left. With a minute difference in time, which one you put first will be the only one living, the rest will disappear. What is this? How can something create matter? Or it's a hidden matter that becomes revealed to us by an observation, measurement? Still baffling the scientists today in understanding. But they still use it. They're going to develop quantum computers. Our computers work on a digital language in which there are two digits, actually only one. They call it 1 and 0. Music is being written in 1 and 0. Pictures are being made in 1 and 0. Just the number is large, but they have certain formula. You can make anything now on a computer using only digital language of a sequence of ones and zeros. If you know what ones and zeros is, how it's created in the computer, in the chip, it's not created by putting a zero. There's nothing to put. Zero will be nothing. You can't put a zero, you can put a 1. When the electricity can pass, it's called 1. If it cannot pass, it's called zero. They design a nice chip where electricity can pass some points, cannot pass somewhere. That's the whole secret of the circuitry. And that is why we can write a language as 0 and 1 and do so much with those little chips. If that is true, the ones and zeros, who decides where the one should be, where the zero? The song decides, the picture decides, the words decide, that's what decides. If we observe and can change a wave into a particle, can we observe and then decide what the digital language should say? Quantum physics says yes. That means there can be new computers coming up, and this is advanced information I'm giving you. New computers will be coming up which will type out what you're thinking and observing and not what is programmed. Their programming will depend upon your observation. This is not something very new. The greatest scientist, Einstein, Albert Einstein, before he died, about a month before he died, in his last notes, he wrote, I have spent my life studying the observation, what I observed. I forgot to study the role of the observer fully. Because of quantum mechanics, the observer has a big role in changing what you are seeing. If you take a general meaning of what he's saying, it means we create everything. The energy is being collapsed into matter by observation of human observation. This is very true according to metaphysics, according to scientists, saints. Saints are saying the same thing, that your observation creates what you see and is coming from inside. Now this was a great scientist. He died before he could carry on further observation on that. Another scientist, paralyzed, Stephen Hawking, recently died. He was studying the origin of the universe, spent his whole life. Where did this universe come from? And he said, an accepted theory looks likely that a big bang created it. That means there was some singularity from which space and time sprang, and the space through some means which we are still observing. A study has just been set up with $11.6 million grant to find out how space became matter. They're studying now, just announced yesterday. So he was studying what was there, if anything, before time-space itself came, which is part of the universe. The Big Bang theory says even time was created from that time. In the last interview he gives, he makes a very strange observation. He says, I have been pondering over this. What was existing before time was creating? I now feel it was imaginary time. And then he's asked, what do you think is imaginary time? And he says, imaginary time is like when we sit with friends and think only 15 minutes have passed. The clock says 1 hour has passed, 15 minutes is imaginary time, and clock is physical time. Imaginary time pre-existed physical time. Can you realize he's talking of the astral plane where imaginary time exists prior to the physical time? And he died. Could not tell us anything more. It's very interesting how the science itself is coming to the same conclusions. They are trying to move from outside into inside. They are finding that dark matter contains dark energy, which cannot be accounted for. They are calculating this purely because something is invisible. But the energy supports that has to be there. Therefore, they call it dark matter, dark energy. But the truth is that at the same time, they're understanding that the energy cannot be explained. Even if the dark matter is explained. One time they thought that 17% of the matter is visible to us. The rest is dark. Today they say 6% is visible. The rest is all dark because of further studies on radiation of energy. So what does it mean? This study of energy and matter is leading them to a conclusion that there has to be more than one dimension in which we live. This multidimensional was also mentioned by Stephen Hawking as a possible explanation. Multi-universes is being talked of now in science. They sometimes call it multi-universes, sometimes they call it multidimensional. According to some scientists, to account for the current energy radiation, accounting for it, there has to be at least 11 dimensions. I'm not talking of metaphysics, physics. These are professors of physics telling us. And they give a strange example because they have to speak in layman's language to explain to us, and they give an explanation that the equilibrium on this universe is perfect. Supposing it was not perfect, supposing the earth moves a little bit, few feet toward the sun will pull it and destroy it. Supposing it moves a few feet away from the sun, it will fly away and not be in orbit anymore. We are so perfectly in equilibrium. This was not only discovered by him, mathematically, another mathematician discovered. I'm telling you, for those who are studying these things. His name was Dr. Nash. He got a Nobel Prize for his paper on equilibrium, a theory of equilibrium. How important it is to create perfection in the working of the universe. He said everything is in perfect place at this time. Whatever had to happen has happened to create this perfection. We are living on a planet which is placed in right equilibrium. So when they talk of that, the right equilibrium, Dr. Nash got a Nobel Prize. A movie was made on his life, if you remember. It was called A Beautiful Mind. In that movie they showed what was actually happening in his life. Where did he find this equilibrium? He found on a blackboard on which nothing was written. He saw all the equations there. On a window pane, transparent window pane, people are standing outside, he's seeing the equations on that blank window pane. Where are those? Where was he seeing? His wife said he's hallucinating. Other scientists said he's hallucinating. There is no such person. Where is he picking it up from? And he developed a whole theory for which he got a Nobel Prize and saw things which don't exist physically at all. All picking up from the astral plane, from where they come, from where they copied here. So here was a scientist, a mathematician, who picked up this thing from there. He did not believe that these things he's seeing are not real, except several years later, when he saw that he sees a person with a hat who comes to him that I represent government, and you have to send these papers to government and put them in a particular post office, which is in the movie also, a true story. And he writes papers and puts them there, and the man says, government is studying everything you are doing. As years pass, he notices that there's a child with that person and a lady who always come with that man. And he has grown old, his wife has grown old, his colleagues and scientists have grown old, they remain the same age. That caused him a doubt. So what I'm seeing, others are not seeing. Till then he believed that what he saw is the only reality. That is what happens if by accident or by karma, you can pick up information. All great inventions and discoveries have been made from the astral plane. It's never been made from the data available here. Everything comes from there. So that is why he came and he gave this information mathematically. There has to be more universes. How do these people explain the dimensions? They give an example. Supposing you go to a bar and ask for orange juice. The bartender gives you strawberry juice. You think he made a mistake. These scientists say, no, he delivered the orange juice to you in another dimension. You happen to be here, you are also in 11 dimensions at the same time. This is not metaphysics, this is physics. Today's physics. So you can remember that dark matter is being explained in so many ways. It is just hidden from physical observation. Go to astral plane, you'll understand where it comes from the astral plane. Dimensions come from astral plane. They're all coming from what we have been describing for centuries. At a level of experience that's non-physical, but full of sensory perception. Everything is coming from there.